The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Wednesday, the 25th of May, 2016, are currently trading with gold at $1,224.24 an ounce, silver $16.29 an ounce, Texas crude $48.62 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 449 U.S. currency. Today in history, the year 1961, John F. Kennedy announces the U.S. government's goal of putting a man on the moon before the end of the decade. Though many point out that a funny thing happened on the way to the moon, with NASA essentially staging the whole thing, John F. Kennedy announced a plan for America to aim for the moon. Today in history. In recent news, Hillary Clinton, former head of the State Department and current Democratic presidential frontrunner, was highly criticized in a report released today by the State Department's independent investigator, stating that her email practices while running the department were not the smartest. It states that her use of private email for public business was not an appropriate method of preserving documents, concluding that her practices failed to comply with the department's policies meant to ensure that federal record laws were followed. Apparently, a better option would have been for her to have printed and saved her emails during the 4 years in office and immediately comply with turning in her work-related correspondence upon stepping down in February of 2013, instead of sitting on those records nearly 2 years. If this isn't bad enough, the report noted that a top Clinton aide was warned in 2010 that the system may not be properly preserving records, but they dismissed those worries, indicating that the system passed legal requirements, even though the Inspection General uncovered that it could not show evidence of a review by any legal counsel whatsoever. Keep in mind that this independent State Department investigation released this report in the midst of the current FBI investigation into whether Clinton mishandled classified material through her use of a private server in her New York home. Texas is set to become the first state to sue the Obama administration over the new federal guidance for transgender students in public schools. Governor Greg Abbott tweeted today that Texas will sue, quote, to stop Obama's transgender directive to schools. The message from his personal Twitter account came hours before a scheduled news conference by State Attorney General Ken Paxton. Several states have vowed defiance since federal officials this month told U.S. public schools to let transgender students use bathrooms and locker rooms to match their gender identity. The Lone Star Lowdown is currently looking for sponsors. If you have a product or a service you'd like to advertise with us, feel free to give me a call at 210-363-2257. This has been Rick Rohde with your Lowdown for May 25th, 2016.
Logos Radio Network presents The Truth Exposed Radio Show every Wednesday 6 to 8 p.m., bringing to you breakdowns on current events, history, and philosophy with your hosts, Rick Rohde, Marshall Soul, and Cody Rowe. Welcome and thank you for tuning in.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We are live. This is Truth Exposed Radio. This lovely Wednesday, May 25th, 2016. We are live as always. The three musketeers of freedom. Rick Rohde,
Marshall Soul,
Cody Rowe. And we are going to have lines open as we usually like doing it. We like keeping free speech as a prerogative.
But you have to stick within the guidelines of the FCC. Unfortunately, we haven't, overthrown them. So yeah, please comply within their means. We have to do the same.
We haven't ignored them out of existence yet.
Have not been sequestered.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately. So 512-646-1984. Feel free to call in and give us your take on the current situation of things, or the shenanigans going on. The circus.
Definitely. If you have any questions on our positions, or want to make any points, it doesn't really matter on what topic it is.
Cody's always got an open challenge out for those that want to speak on the pros of socialism versus versus the supposed cons of the free market.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and getting on that point, we are a show dedicated to the free market, to free market principles and ideas, and essentially to the notion of letting it be, leaving people alone, minding your own business, laissez-faire, if you will. And
live and let live.
Oh, yeah, it's a good song, by the way. And just definitely like diving into history, diving into philosophy, diving into the rhetorical side of things. And
taking the topics of the day, the headlines of the day, and then kind of running them through the gauntlet of ethics. And
you got to run it through a filter, because
exactly.
It's not the mainstream media; it's the sewer stream media.
Yes, sir.
You got to filter that stuff.
You got to take all the crud out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's like a sewage processing plant over here.
Yeah, I know. The Trump, the Chewbacca lady was funny and all, but come on, does it really need that much attention?
What you lady talking about?
I don't-
Some
yeah.
treading video or something?
Yeah, yes. This video that in one day it spiked up 74 million views as a Facebook like thing. And she had got a son from Coles, and we shouldn't really get into it. But anyways, that got 74 million views in one night, and there's other subject matter out there
That's way more important.
way more important that doesn't even tip the scale.
Exactly. I didn't even actually watch the video, but I did share the meme about the video having that many likes versus a video of the Federal Reserve being broke down.
Which I hadn't seen that one yet, so I wanted to check that out. I was like, hey, cool, this meme reminded me there's something new and good out.
Yep.
So good old Hillary got called out today. State Department admitted that what she did was illegal. And
How is she running for president still? I mean, she's under investigation currently, and more just keeps coming out, yet she's still on the table as a candidate. I mean, she's in the pocket of the establishment.
She's defying the laws of reality right now. It's just insane.
the almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that out of the 60,000+ emails sent from her private server, she claimed that over half, 31,000 of them, were personal, and those are the ones that she deleted, and still have a handful of them that are very questionable in regards to the national security threat level and how she's just sending information out through her personal server, not really backing that information up, not really making sure it's well encrypted, well protected.
Using it in the guise of saying, that's not government use, so you can claim Fifth Amendment and Fourth Amendment on it. That's. But it was government. If things are going on with it.
I mean, what do you call it? Like treason or espionage? I mean, what?
No, it's under the Logan Act, wasn't it? Sharing things under the Logan Act.
That should be treasonous, though. I mean, right? I mean, sharing information with the enemy. I mean, possibly.
You were trying to slap Edward Snowden with that.
She should be definitely slapped with it.
I think she was one of the ones saying that he should be arrested for exposing.
You don't say. Oh. Pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, spoke too soon.
Man, you gotta love these hypocrites, man. It's just amazing how they're just able to get away with everything. It's just
above the law, right? Above the law, their royalty can't be meddled with such discrepancies as law and ethics and the proper procedure of things.
We trust them to investigate themselves, and that's good. Good enough for us.
Yeah, right. Approved by the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been going on. Actually, that just happened today. And also another big event for our news tidbit for the day. Apparently, Greg Abbott is declaring that Texas will, in fact, sue the Obama administration over this whole transgender, gender identity bathroom thing.
Yeah, because they're trying to force it in through the schools and through the government-owned property where they can try and force it, because it's hard to force private property to comply, even though they have passed law to force others to comply with that. But really, it should be private property, should be upon their own decision of who they serve and how they conduct their business. And you, as a customer, do not go there if you don't like the way they conduct their business.
Yeah, I mean, you don't own your property, right?
If it's that bad of a business and people don't like it, it will go out of business or it will change to accommodate you.
Well, apparently there's no accommodating or no going to a competitor when it comes to government and it comes to these issues. But yeah, it does seem interesting how, like everything else that the federal government tends to do with the states, they tend to leverage federal funds as usual over the states as a what would we call it? When you blackmail somebody essentially, or you
bribes.
Yeah, right. Kind of a bribe. I mean, you're threatening to take away funding from them if they don't comply with your little arbitrary rules and regulations. It reminds me of the DWI alcohol blood content, or
you talking about pre-crime?
And yeah, right. And how the feds forced every single state to comply with the 0.08 blood level when it was at
take away your roads
at higher levels. Yeah, and they were threatening with taking away road funding. So
oh wow,
not my roads.
So it just goes to show that, I mean, man, they have to use all this kind of. You give them the power to build the roads,
yeah,
and then they threaten to take away the power to build the roads. Like, he who giveth can take it away. I mean, you let these people give you whatever, and they're gonna have the power to give it to you or not.
And it's like a system of welfare.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're actually the one paying for it, in the sense you're paying them to build the roads for you. So go figure on that.
I'm getting extorted.
Yeah. We're being extorted to build our own roads and to fund our own schools. We're being extorted to do it, and to force to comply with their measures on how we conduct ourselves, how we have our schools, how we build our roads.
And somehow we're led to believe, but it's our choices, and
you can set the speed limits if you want.
If the extortion didn't exist and wasn't played out, that somehow roads and schools would just cease to exist.
Yeah, they forget what happened all before 1913.
Businesses wouldn't have any incentive to have any roads to their businesses, and people wouldn't have any incentive to have roads to their houses and their neighborhoods. And
buy a nice sports car just to drive it through the rubble.
The people that lived in front of the places that need roads would come together and take care of the place in front of the property to make it a road.
Driving a Lambo through through some ruts.
You put the right tires on it. You put a lift kit on it.
All-terrain Lambo. Yeah, there we go. Oh man,
it's a transmechanical.
There we go. Oh man,
it identifies as a truck, Rick.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we got that debacle going on. Should be interesting to see.
Texas is one of 11 states, suing the federal government over that issue.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how that one turns out. I don't know if you guys saw that this interesting video, pretty funny video on YouTube. This guy got a speeding ticket.
I love that.
And decided to pay it in pennies.
This was so great. I've seen a couple of these, but this one, the build up to it, and the way he took it in 2 buckets and just dumped it on the change thing. Like, here you go.
Big old 5-gallon bucket.
He has it in like boxes, and it already says how much it is, and all the little wrapped coins, all the little wraps. What do you call them? The penny rolls and everything. Yeah. And he takes them and smashes them open.
He's got a hammer and he's just whacking them open. Like, yes, this is the best spent $200 some odd ever.
Dumps them in a couple of buckets and goes and
just dumps it on the counter with the lady. Like, here. And he walks out.
He said, "Y'all want exact change?"
Like, here you go.
Great, I've got exact change in the truck. Hold on.
Then he just walks out. Then he gets a call from somebody over at the city. It's like, excuse me, sir. You came in and paid, but you paid a little extra. You just come over and come pick it up at your convenience. And that was great.
I'm surprised they didn't make him count it out right there in front of him.
No, it's like, here, this is this. Okay, here you go.
I'm sure some employee over there at the whatever that place is got overtime to count the money.
No, the video showed like a guy that was there afterwards, and there was a guy that walked up, and there's still remnants of it there, but they got most of it up. And he's like, "Hey, what happened here?" And somebody came to pay their ticket. And he's like, "In pennies?" Like, yeah. It's like, "Oh, that's great."
That's crazy. And that was like 2 buckets full. And I mean, just for a ticket.
But the sad thing is, you're the one that's going to pay that person's salary or their hourly rate to sit there and have to count the money that you just dumped on them.
Yeah, we know how the state likes the state.
Just like, you got to pay for all the times the city loses in lawsuits against, private citizens.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the private citizens that end up paying out in the end through taxation.
Exactly. And there's a reason why they never learn their lesson, because they pass the buck on to us.
Yeah, it's a bummer, guys. It's a bummer. Speaking of pennies, Joseph Stiglitz, Mr. Stiglitz, Joseph Stiglitz, actually an advisor for Miss Clinton herself, Nobel Peace Prize winner in economics. He apparently is endorsing or has endorsed, the whole Venezuelan economic platform.
Oh, that's turning out pretty nice.
And plus, the Nobel Peace Prize is pretty much like something out of a Cracker Jack box nowadays.
Aren't people like
meaningless?
People are like eating dogs and cats there now.
Yeah, like $100+ burgers and standing in line for toilet paper.
Must be a good burger.
Government employees are only working like 3 days a week, I think, or something of the sort.
Paid holidays?
Yeah, right?
Probably.
Wouldn't doubt it. So that's interesting. That definitely gives some insight into the economic theories that this neocon, this neo-lib Hillary is surrounding herself with. Definitely not good in the foreseeable future. It's a given when it comes to the Colonel Sanders, but when Hillary, you expect to be at least a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, she hasn't come out and praised breadlines yet.
Yeah.
No, but her history. Oh my.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So instead of breadlines, she'll have the
assassination lines.
What do you?
The deadlines.
What are the humans when they feed you the humans? The Soylent Green.
Oh. Yeah. Right.
All the people that have been Ark-incited.
Ark-incited.
Oh.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Am I all right? Yeah, I'm all right. For once in my life I've got something to say. I want to say it now, but now is today. And love has been given, so grab and enjoy. So let's all grab and let's all enjoy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Disclosed Radio, May 25th, 2016. And if you guys haven't done it lately, go on to logosradionetwork.com. Check out that Logos 2016 giveaway. We're almost at that mark. Need a lot of help, though. First prize, Spike Skull Low Receiver. And that second prize, Taurus Curve. All sponsored by Texas Gunworks, Central Texas Gunworks. And, of course, All About Vapor. And, of course, go and check out our sponsors, the archives, the other shows.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Logos got that drawing going until the 1st, and we're just about over halfway through our goal here to keep transmissions going for the rest of the year. So definitely could use your help, and I do appreciate everybody that has helped out so far.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It takes a community to mount a resistance, so.
That it does.
So, yeah, you got until June 1st on that. So it only takes $25 to get in, and 10 winners still receive 10 third-place prize winners get a $25 gift certificate to All About Vapor. So,
and you can still get in there and purchase Eddie Craig's traffic seminar before June 1st and get 10 entries into this drawing.
So that's a win-win-win-win-win-win.
And I can tell you from experience, that seminar is worth it, and Cuddy can attest to it because he's looked over my shoulder on a lot of that documentation.
Yep.
It's well worth it. Well worth it.
Yes,
oh,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, all these debacles and shenanigans going on, what do you guys...
The shenanigans.
What do you guys make of...
you say shenanigans one more time, Rick.
What do you guys make of Trump meeting up with good old Soviet spy, double agent Kissinger?
Well, I'm just so surprised that Black Lives Matter isn't up in arms about, their funder, the guy funding the movement, meeting up with their enemy, Mr. Trump,
But who's the guy that funds them? Do they even know?
Well, I just don't know why they're not up in arms about it. I mean, they don't know.
Well, who is it that funds Black Lives Matter? Come on, Cuddy, you got radio waves out there listening. Who funds Black Lives Matter?
Who doesn't? I guarantee you, Kissinger's got a whole bunch of money in there.
Wouldn't doubt it.
I guarantee.
Yeah. So
there's probably a blanket. I mean, you can follow the money. I'm sure there's a what do you call it?
I believe the ties are to George Soros, though.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, primarily. But what doesn't Mr. Kissinger have his hands in? According to The Hill here, apparently they met up. When was it here? I want to say last Wednesday, and presumptive Republican candidate presidential nominee Donald Trump on Wednesday met with Henry Kissinger, the former Secretary of State and National Security Advisor under President Richard Nixon, guy responsible for the Vietnam War.
And that's supposed to make him seem better that he was under Nixon? Oh my God.
I know enough about Henry Kissinger to know that if I was Donald Trump, why would I go and talk to this guy when he's going to try to get me to compromise on my values?
Yeah, if you support the troops, you would not go over there and endorse Henry Kissinger because I believe his famous words are that military men are dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns in war, cannon fodder.
Well, I mean, to his credit, he hasn't endorsed him yet or anything, but he's met with him, and I wouldn't meet.
Maybe he's going to find some dirt on Hillary
with some some silver tongue, some snake. He's just going to try to convince you, or to go against your principles and your morals. So I mean, I just wouldn't even entertain.
And apparently, it was kind of a personal meeting with Trump showing up to Kissinger's home.
Oh, it was private, right? I mean, it's not going to be in front of a camera.
You wanted to talk geopolitical strategy, Rick.
I'm sure. According to The Hill, Trump was seeking support from members of the Republican establishment, and to shore up his foreign policy credentials, of course, he went to Mr. Kissinger. Last week, Trump met with former Secretary of State James Baker as well. Trump has so far eschewed Republican foreign policy orthodoxy, saying that he opposed the 2003 Iraq War and calling into question the U.S. military alliance and the benefits of international trade. Yeah, even going into questioning NATO and, of course, the NAFTA and GATT and Trans-Pacific TPP,
yeah,
and all those other things, and which that's a whole litany of sophism to have to dismantle there. So Kissinger recently weighed in on the presidential campaign at a Pentagon ceremony where he was awarded the department's top civilian honor. And this is from the Obama administration being given to Kissinger, and then Donald Trump, the opposing party, visits Kissinger. So it's kind of leads us to see who's really pulling some of the strings, some of the major strings.
Wasn't it Kissinger that was in the audience at the UN whenever Barack Obama was up there as the head of the UN Security Council? Wasn't Kissinger the one in the crowd pretty much like gyrating on himself?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
You remember that video? Jones had done a segment on it because there's actual video when Obama was on there because prior, U.S. presidents couldn't hold a foreign office And so that was the first time in history that a United States president has held a foreign office
Oh, well, yeah,
in
I
the Security
remember
Council.
that. Yeah.
And he pans over to Henry Kissinger in the crowd, is like almost like he's going into a seizure. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is our moment.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
but to show that, the left and right paradigm's false, Henry Kissinger has even been a mentor to Sarah Palin.
Yeah, well,
Yep. Visited with the Pope a couple times. Responsible for a whole litany of
This guy's just part of the
whole
shadow
litany of
government.
war crimes.
yeah, right. I mean, what war effort and hidden agenda hasn't Kissinger been a part of?
He's part of the deep state.
For sure. And getting awarded the top civilian honor is pretty ridiculous. Hardcore Malthusian eugenicist over here, and we're awarding him a top civilian honor. So
He likes to use his eugenics on the civilians.
Yeah, well,
It's a great honor.
The Nazis, gave Henry Ford an honor. Yeah, and then also Henry Ford sued the United States government over them bombing Ford plants over in Europe and winning.
well, yeah, can't blow up people's property, right? You got enough money to take it up to the courts. But so we were entering continues on here at the Hill. We were entering a presidential campaign, and it seems to be the habit of political figures now to contrast themselves with the evils of their predecessors and of the aspirants to office, to contrast themselves with the evils of the incumbent. He said on May 9th, in the May 9th ceremony. Kissinger told Fox Business News in December that he opposed Trump's call for a temporary ban on Muslim immigrants. Oh, I'm sure he does.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Destabilization OG.
Yeah, look what's happening in Europe right now.
Yep. Speaking of that, didn't the Pope recently state that ISIS and all that Islamic State and of Iraq and Syria and Lebanon were all just
They're good, man. It's okay.
akin to were they all just akin to Jesus Christ sending out his apostles and to go convert the world? They're just going out to convert the world, and
We're living in the craziest times ever. Like, I mean,
It is indeed a crazy time to be alive. Upside down, 2 + 2 is starting to look like 5 with Common Core in there.
well, I mean, if the government says 2 + 2 is 4, we might need to question that.
Oh.
It's getting that crazy.
yeah,
It is 4, but you're thinking 5.
No, but I'm saying, like, if they even if they say the truth, you've got to question that, because everything that comes out their mouth is a lie. Like, I mean, it's
Pretty much.
getting so ridiculous now. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I just don't. I don't see how people weren't in uproar over that.
they say the Earth's round. I'm starting to think that maybe it's flat. Like, I'm just saying.
Or at least
Who the heck am I to say? 'Cause I ain't
at least
been
a-
outside to look. So.
at least a pear-shaped spheroid, right?
I'm questioning it. I'm questioning everything they're telling us.
Question everything. If I don't know, well, I don't know. Well, for all I know, it may be until I can prove it myself.
Everything they say is fact. I don't know. I got a question. It's just getting that crazy these days.
You ask too many questions, because you're going to be in a padded room.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too rigid with my skepticism. Where I'm not just going to believe any.
Questions are questions.
I don't
my friend.
believe anything. Nothing's real. Like, no.
So yeah, I mean, this was all after Kissinger had told CNN that he felt more comfortable having a different nominee. He told CNN that if Trump
Move over beef, lamb, and pork. There's a new kid on the block, and it's taking America by storm. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll be back in just a moment with a tender, juicy morsel on the latest in carnivore cuisine.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This public service announcement is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
It's lean, it's trendy, and it isn't half bad. Goat meat. It's fall off the fork tender and buttery when it's properly marinated and grilled or braised, and it's not gamey. In fact, some gourmets say goat meat is perhaps the most flavorful meat on the planet. Word's gotten out, and goat meat, also called chivon or cabrito, is finding its way to the menus of high-end U.S. restaurants, and it may soon be at your local grocery store. Goat meat may be new to Americans, but it's long been considered a staple of third-world countries. In fact, it's estimated that 63% of red meat consumed in the world is goat meat. No kidding. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. More news and information at CatherineAlbrecht.com.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
And we are back live this May 25th, 2016. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. I am one of your hosts, Cuddy Rowe.
Marshall Soul.
Rick Rody.
And phone lines are open. 512-646.
1984.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And before I got rudely interrupted over there by the commercial break.
Dang commercials.
Yeah.
But they're the sponsors.
Those breaking my tongue.
Yeah, we didn't hear it. Snuck up on us real quick.
It happens. Just like Armageddon.
It's going to come out from out of nowhere, man.
Well, we kind of see it coming, but yeah. A lot of other people.
It's already here. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
So, apparently Kissinger went as far as to a couple months back tell CNN that if Trump were the Republican nominee, that he would urge him not to make such a blanket exclusion when it came to the refugees and Muslims coming into the country. And Kissinger, who, of course, himself is an immigrant, I think from the depths of hell.
I would say so.
Yeah. He also said he would be more comfortable with another nominee, according to CNN.
He said he would be more comfortable with another nominee?
Yeah, I think one of the Bushes was his best.
Oh, what are you talking about on the Republican side?
Yeah.
He's got ties to the Bushes.
Yep. And
I think it's time we end the Bush-Clinton dynasty. You know, they've had things for, I'd say, ever since Reagan. When Reagan got shot, Bush took over. The original Poppy Bush took over when Reagan got shot. So we've had...
I'd go a little bit further back, maybe when Kennedy got shot.
Oh, yeah, true. He was there.
Yeah. Bush took over.
Well, you can say directly.
Yeah. And the CIA, you know.
He had his ties to the CIA, you know, when he came out and was running it for a little while in the open. And I believe that was there in the Church Commission whenever the previous guy started talking too much.
Yep. And of course, the article ends by stating that Kissinger is not shy of being a controversial figure. Of course. And during the debates, Democratic presidential debates, I don't know if you guys recall, but Hillary Clinton, here, this is a Hill saying this, but I remember this from the debate. The only one that I saw where this came up, I don't know if it was mentioned in other ones, but basically she was, touted a compliment from Kissinger during the fifth Democratic debate saying, quote, "I was very flattered when Henry Kissinger said I ran the State Department better than anybody had run it in a long time with all them emails and whatnot. So I have an idea of what it's going to take to make our government work more efficiently, I think."
So Kissinger is the benchmark? That's not a very good benchmark to have.
Didn't Bernie Sanders call her out on that?
Yeah, immediately later in that same debate, after she made that statement, immediately after that, Sanders said that he was proud not to be a friend of Kissinger and that Kissinger was responsible for the invasion of Cambodia during the Vietnam War, which Bernie said was one of the worst genocides in the history of the world. I don't know about that extreme, but it was a genocide nonetheless.
True. I think the Armenian was a little bit worse than that.
It was one of the worst. It was so bad, Dead Kennedys wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
True.
We're always quick to point the finger at the Hitlers and the Nixons in the world, but when it comes to the Stalins and the Maos, it seems everyone
those are our
and
buddies.
the Ches,
or the Pol Pots. In this case,
they're cool.
Everyone seems to forget.
Pol Pot was our darling in Cambodia.
Man, don't you know though? It's all Hitler, bro.
He was running it all. So yeah, that's an interesting tidbit. It seems that the quote unquote anti-establishment candidate is cozying up with the establishment pretty nice.
It's leaning that way.
Not very reassuring.
And
not that I had any assurance to begin with.
Yeah, Goldman and Sachs financial advisor as well, right? With Trump. So I mean, like strike one, strike two.
Yeah, right. I voted for Obama.
Strike three.
Yeah.
Why is he the nominee? I don't know. We're not into that political thing anyway, but it's pretty funny where it's all at.
It was pretty much like a reality show this time around.
It's almost like Idiocracy. I mean,
it pretty much is.
I mean, all he needs to do is be a wrestler up there with a machine gun and a American flag jumpsuit.
Just give me something with electrolytes, man.
There you go.
The electrolytes help my feels.
Yep. So I don't know, man. It's I don't trust.
I still can't get over that Texas and the other states wanting to sue over the forced bathroom policies, where the federal government's threatening to pull the funding for education. In which case, those states, if they look at how much money they actually coughed up to the federal government for other resources or taxation, if they were to withhold that money, I'm sure they could fund their schools and other necessities just fine.
So they're threatening not to give us the money they stole from us.
Yeah, they're saying, you're not going to have your money for your education. And,
So how about we all stop giving the government money and keep it, and so they can't,
and spend it in our local economies, and then
so they don't. We're not beholden to them.
Yeah, and it's probably going to go down like it did with the anti-TSA legislation that was going to be passed back in, was it 2011 or something like that?
Yeah,
or maybe 2012.
2012 maybe.
Yeah, they was going to make it a felony for those persons to touch you in your private areas and such, and it passed the House. And when it was in the Senate, there was a threat looming that the United States would make Texas a no-fly zone if that were the case, and so the Senate, tucked their tail.
We should have called their bluff.
Yeah, we should have called their bluff.
Yeah, we got a nice, fine economy without them.
So if they're going to pull funding in the states, saying, "Hey, if you don't comply with the transgender bathrooms, we're not going to give you money."
And the other states,
I thought here in Texas, our schools and education was paid for by the lottery. Remember, or supposedly that was what part of it was.
It just sounds like a joke.
It sounds like a Ponzi scheme because it is a Ponzi scheme.
Oh.
Yeah, several states here, 11, I think, in total, that are suing the federal government. I mean, wouldn't it just be wonderful? I mean, just imagine the amount of choice and the amount of options that we would have if we just opened up schooling to any idea or any strain of thought or any ideology out there. You would have your many different religious institutions and of learning, and also I would imagine you would have your secular leaning learning centers and I mean, wouldn't that be a way better option to have different and competing and alternative forms of education to where we can actually see where things turn out, how they turn out, how students are being taught, which ones are more effective at teaching, and really rewarding those institutions by having more customers and more schools opening up with that same format. Just allowing the market to be. I mean,
it's like any other product.
Yeah, which seems like it would be a way better route to go than just monopolizing everything like we usually do.
Most things on the market, they're controlled and molded based upon the customer's needs and wants, and them complying with those things. They are not complying with their customers' needs, or messing up in some way. They're probably not going to be in business too long if they stick along that path. They're going to make changes if they want to stay in business. Just like schools, just like anything else. That's just life experience. If you want something to be a certain way, you might have to bend and adjust to get something.
And something so as important as education, everybody knows you shouldn't have just one way. I mean, there should be.
Competition always brings the best out of things.
Yeah, why would you think diversity is bad? I mean, you want diversity everywhere else.
If everybody gets a trophy, what's the point in even playing?
And if the issue, the scare is, schools might be teaching, improper information or wrong, giving kids a bad education. Well, then make a test optional that schools, may want to partake in, so that everyone can see their scoring. If the school wants to partake in such a testing scrutiny, of public checks and balances, but and of course you can have different tests too. I mean, why do all the tests have to come from the federal government? And how come they decide what the curriculum should be and
if you notice other schools producing a better product, of course other schools are going to go over there and take notice of their methods and say, hey, we should adapt to this because they're making more money by putting out kids that are more knowledgeable in these areas. They're doing this method of doing as such, so they're going to change with the times.
See, if a private competing school does something they don't approve of, they freak all out. But when the state does it, it's seen as authority and it's good. Like, say some private schools letting the kids smoke pot in the classroom, something outrageous.
Or cigarettes, or bring their guns to school or whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy. But the state makes it mandatory, and that's good. Like,
easy.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio here, as we usually are every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Definitely encourage you guys to check out Logos Radio Network, the lovely network that hosts our radio show. Definitely appreciate everything they've done for us, giving us the opportunity to get on the airwaves with you guys and gals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So definitely check out their site and check out the drawing they got going, because what keeps them on the air keeps us on the air. And I would appreciate some help on that. So
whoever wins that first place prize is not going to regret playing the game, I guarantee you. Definitely get in.
For sure. So we were just finishing up here. I guess we can cover a little bit of this. The whole issue with Texas suing the federal government
Over the transgender bathrooms?
Yeah, over the well, I guess they're not really transgender. I guess they're just. I mean, they should just if people can use whatever bathroom they want. Why don't you just make all bathrooms unisex or non-gender bathrooms? I don't get the necessity to want to go into a bathroom where there's more boys than girls, or I don't get it. But anyway, so apparently Attorney General Ken Paxton, Republican, and officials in 10 additional states have filed a lawsuit against the Obama administration after it the administration told schools and colleges to allow transgender students to use the bathroom that matched their gender identity to comply with the existing civil rights laws. Yes, because they've been expanded. So that whole public accommodation, we can pretty much see this being extended to private businesses here down the...
It's going to be the new Civil Rights Act.
Essentially, it's just a matter of time now. So
that means it's going to be good then, guys.
Yeah, because it's called civil rights. It's going to be good.
Those are good words, right?
Yeah.
I love me some civil rights with my tyranny.
With my Patriot Act and the rest of my TPPs and whatever else.
Yeah.
I mean, we need free trade acts, guys. Come on. It says civil rights.
It's not free trade. It's forced trade.
It doesn't say that, though.
Oh, you're talking about like the marketplace, Obamacare?
Yeah.
Everything.
Forced trade.
Free trade agreements, civil rights. It's all, should come down to...
Yeah, Obamacare. I mean, come on.
Yep. So the list of states includes, of course, Texas, the Lone Star State, and Alabama, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Tennessee, Arizona, Maine, an interesting, northeastern state up there, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Utah, and Georgia.
It's going to be pretty sad if the next Civil War starts out over that.
Boy.
Taxes and spying and overreach of government power and all that. Whatever. But
meh.
The North's going to come in and force us to accommodate.
Civil rights, guys.
Yeah, burn down all your buildings just to get rid of the girl with the skirt sign and the stick figure guy.
There. Now y'all have to use the same bathroom.
Now you're free.
Yeah.
So the federal
use the bushes.
Use the bushes outside. There may be a hidden agenda here. Maybe they're trying to get more public indecency.
You can generate
tickets.
revenue. We need money.
Yeah. Something, right? Something might be in the works there.
They're always running out of money.
Yeah. So the federal guidance, and this is from the Huffington Post here, the federal guidance announced earlier this month requires public schools to protect transgender students from harassment and allow them to use bathrooms and locker rooms consistent with the gender they identify with, regardless of what's on their birth certificate. The administration cites Title IX, the federal law that prohibits discrimination based on sex. No student should ever have to, this is from Secretary John King Jr., Education Secretary, no student should ever have to go through the experience of feeling unwelcome at school or on a college campus. Oh, I felt that all the time from my administrators at my school. But
yeah, and they're misconstruing all of these words.
We don't use definitions anymore. We use fields.
Yeah, because discrimination based on sex would mean discrimination based on which organ you have.
Well, that's going a little bit too far there. You're triggering me, Marshall.
You don't identify anymore, do you? No. Okay.
I'm
unidentifiable.
I'm
an unidentified living object.
Yeah.
Sexy object at that. Still unidentifiable though. I don't know. Depends on my feels for the day. It actually depends on which line is the longest. I mean, if there's a long line at
I will admit to that too. I'll go if men's is occupied. I'll go be like, you know what? I feel like a woman. But it's just it's a single bathroom. It's just one room. It's not like anybody else can occupy the same space unwillingly.
Yeah, you can just tell people you didn't have your Snickers bar.
Yeah. Wait till I get my Snickers. I'll be out in a minute.
There you go.
I always honestly
I put the seat back down. Okay.
Yeah. Right. And as a young kid, I again, no disrespect or anything, but I always enjoyed the disabled bathrooms just because they were so much bigger and
spacious.
You could
pick your leg up on one of them handrails, like you're going into labor.
Comfy.
You got enough room to break dance, there's so much room in there.
Oh man.
Give you some mood lighting.
So, of course, the administration, President Barack Obama, defended the action earlier this month, the declaration, the edict. It is part of our obligation as a society to make sure everybody is treated fairly, he said. Does that mean we should all be taxed at the same rate? Because I think rich people are taxed a lot more. than poor people, and that's not really fair.
As long as we don't have to pay as much as they do.
I'm thinking out loud here. I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
everyone's supposed to be treated fairly. There's a lot of instances where people aren't treated fairly.
But it's
so.
unfair that they're rich, so we're going to
Oh, there you go. We're trying to make it fair by being unfair.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
knock them off their high horse, bring them down a couple notches.
Yeah.
it's not fair.
Not fair.
Not fair to my feels.
Yeah, man, you work all hard and you get all this stuff. How is that fair?
So, of
Work
course,
all hard and it gets taxed
yeah.
before I even get it.
That's fair. I need stuff. You work too hard. Get everything done.
Well, I'm glad I was able to, put in my 45 hours and help pay for your welfare.
Yeah, me too, because I wouldn't have any welfare if you didn't work hard.
Yeah, who would fund all the wars, right? If we didn't work hard, so can't go fund ISIS.
Oh, man.
Yeah, who would fund ISIS so we could fund our army to fight ISIS for us if we didn't work?
So that we could fund Israel to fight ISIS for us.
But Israel ain't fighting ISIS.
Oh yeah, no,
Israel
fund
has
ISIS
us
for us. I'm sorry.
Israel has us fighting ISIS for them.
Yeah.
And all that is they're popping up in places that need to be taken over for the Greater Israel Project.
That's good, right?
But that's a whole nother
There'll be
destabilization topic.
There'll be peace once we have New World Order.
Peace in the valley at last.
We'll have Earth sovereignty.
Yeah. So, of course, the many governors involved in this, including Mississippi's Phil Bryant, Arkansas's Asa Hutchinson, Kentucky's Matt Bavin, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, said he'd be willing to they'd all be willing, apparently, to forfeit up to billions in federal education funding to fight this new federal guidance. GOP lawmakers in Oklahoma even introduced a measure to impeach Obama over it.
A little late.
There's been several measures to do that, but
It's kind of a joke.
yeah, for theocratic purposes.
Feels good.
Theatric purposes, mind you. So the Obama administration has...
Wait, when I was in Oklahoma, Oklahoma just had somebody trying to pass a law over something about strippers being a certain weight. It was on the floor. It was pretty hilarious. So it doesn't really give it any kind of validity.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Debate?
Some people like them heavy.
And a certain age group. They were forcing a certain age group.
Oh, what are you going to do? Can't let the market decide. No.
Mm-mm.
People can't make their own decisions. The state should enforce.
Apparently not. So the administration has conspired to turn workplaces and educational settings across the country into laboratories for a massive social experiment. This is according to one of the lawmakers here in Oklahoma that's passing this bill to impeach Obama. That the administration and just the administration, not like any other sector of the government or agency of the government or anything like that. No, of course not. But just this administration has conspired to turn the workplace and the educational settings across the country into laboratories for a massive social experiment.
That's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, flouting the democratic process and running roughshod over common sense policies, protecting children and basic privacy rights. Absent action in Congress, the states, or local communities, defendants cannot foist these radical changes on the nation. So this was the straw that broke the Uncle Sam's back.
Now the South shall rise again. Oh man, this is
Get out your guillotines, boys.
good thing I got all those FEMA camps.
We're gonna have a revolution.
Yeah, this is why Jade Ham was practicing. Training is for this transgender issue. They knew something was coming.
People ain't gonna like it. They ain't gonna like it. I'm sharing that bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh man. So of course you got human rights organizations up in arms over this. So it should be interesting to see how all this turns out. It's just I don't even like covering this, but if it wasn't for government schools, guys.
Yeah. Who would build the roads?
Who would? Yeah. Where would our daughters get
a gangbang?
Yeah, Fort Myers, Florida. I mean, if it weren't for government schools, who would have 25 guys in one stall with a 15-year-old? I mean, that's your government schools for you.
The safe places, guys.
Experimenting their sexuality.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a government program.
Logos Radio Network presents Truth Exposed Radio, a transmission promoting resistance to tyranny. Listen in as we explore counter-economics, spontaneous order, and the human strive for liberty with your host, Rick Rody, Marshall Soul, and Cuddy Rowe. And now, Truth Exposed Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. It's May 25th, 2016. Hope you guys enjoying yourselves out there. I'm Marshall Soul, along with my compadres.
Cuddy Rowe.
Rick Rody.
And we're just got done topping up some of the headlines going around, some that ain't. And I believe Rick's got some subject matter for us to attend to. Would that be Rick? Clear your voice there, sir.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been talking about, we went through the whole homesteading of land and property and how that goes about, and we discussed a little bit the essence of law and how law stems from property. The rights that we have stem from the property that we acquire, starting with ourselves and extending to our physical property, and ending at our intellectual property, that's for sure. But and we talked about this idea, this notion of private law or private security or competing courts or the alternative to government.
What was the term?
Polycentric.
Yeah, polycentric law.
Yeah.
Polycentric law enforcement.
Yeah, decentralized law.
Law for hire.
Pretty much. I mean, we need to have
diversity.
Law to be hired and fired at your will, you know.
No, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have an alternative, right? I mean, we can't just, it's easy to bash on any system or any, manner of thinking. It's easy to poke holes at it, but can you offer an alternative? Can you offer a solution? Can you offer something that will replace that and be more efficient, be more, expected to bring in more results, better results than the current system? And that's where a lot of people fell short of things. They're quick to judge everything, the free market, for example. They're quick to judge the market, but those people never offer any kind of alternative to the market.
Well, their alternative really is just, changing the deck chairs around, or, instead of eating tacos on Tuesday, we're going to eat, enchiladas on Tuesday or whatever, something else, it's a changing who gets to decide. I mean,
and they fail to realize that them just trying to come up with a new way and to change things is them trying to act in a way of a free market sense where they're trying to put out another product to get others upon it, but you're not playing by the free market rules. You're not thinking.
You got to force it onto others. Yeah.
So if you got to force it, it ain't good.
Yeah, it's probably crap.
Yeah, usually things
we're
that
not
are
your
forced,
dogs.
Forced aren't really the best for those being forced upon. I mean, when you look back in your life and you think about the times that you were forced to do something, other than when you were a child, unless of course we're all just children and need to be guided by the almighty legislators and almighty bureaucrats.
Got my government.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, there you go. So I was thinking we should really break down. I know we suggested it last week, but doing a thorough reading of The Production of Security by Gustave de Molinari would be good for us to do. I mean, we did it with Locke. We went through homesteading with Locke, and we've read some things in the past. So I think going through this to give people a better idea of where we're coming from and what the things that we adhere to, the things that we want to promote.
The solutions, really.
The solutions, exactly. Because I mean, we could spend all day, several shows talking about all the corruption amongst judges, amongst corruption amongst the police officers, and
well, for years, when you first wake up, that's all you're doing is just pointing the finger at everything that's wrong. And after a while, I got tired of it. I was just waiting for the solutions. I'm waiting for someone to give me the answers because.
All this time looking at what went wrong, you kind of have an idea of what would go right or what not to do, what direction not to take, because all these other fallacies, if you will, have shown the way of what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. And force definitely hasn't been working. So how about we try no force?
Yeah, force is generally never good.
But it does take a leap of I don't want to call it faith, but it does take a leap of intellectual curiosity in order to even come to these new ideas, because it's completely contrary to everything we've been taught and everything we're told in our society and everything we're conditioned to believe. It kind of flies in the face of that. I mean, economics as a science itself flies in the face of everything we're told about politics.
People really do believe that humans are not going to do what's best, and they need force to steer them into doing the right thing, or otherwise there won't be roads and we won't take care of the homeless and there'll be no security and everyone will run around just be killing each other.
But if you create a poisonous culture that over a long period of time degrades the mentality of a people, it might be easier to convince them that others need forced upon them in order to keep things at the status quo.
And then all you have to do is make them dependent upon that apparatus that's doing the force, and then it seems to not be
welfare.
And then it's good.
How do they do it in Nazi Germany, right? Speaking of the Nazis, how do they do it in communist Russia? To think that people were literally going out and throwing people in gulags and in concentration camps and actively killing, assassinating, and murdering people that weren't any threat to them whatsoever, simply because they were following orders.
I'm sure many of them were taxpayers.
Hey, I've seen people.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
I've seen people on the left and the right call for killing people just for expressing their freedom of speech and their opinions. I mean,
they're looking to ban your freedom of speech, sir.
It's not that far off to say that, the government
Go
says.
ahead, round them up.
And look how many people are just have this pure hatred for one another and are willing to do it. They'll follow through with it.
The private prisons aren't filling up fast enough, so we're just going to have to start, rounding people up and putting them in work brigades, and you free thinkers are going to be the greatest ones to work. You'll figure out the best way to get the work done, won't you?
Y'all are good producers.
Fascist prisons, mind you.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's really the conclusion of the parasite, right? The parasite ends up killing the host, and that's what happens every single time. Once
at some point, you'll get too infested.
Yeah, once the parasite gets too big for the host, it goes into killing mode. I mean, there is no other solution to that. If it can't find another host to leech off of, if it can't add to the blood that it's getting.
So we got NASA, sir. It's NASA. So they go find another planet to go leech off of.
Yeah, a lot of these politicians could not survive without. I mean, they're complete wimps and spineless. I mean, they just.
Oh yeah.
It's the only way to live is just, live off of others.
They forget that taxes require the production of wealth in order to even exist to begin with.
Well, they're going to put that colony on Mars, and then once that gets populated enough, man, they can tax them.
I'm sure they. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't have built a colony on the moon before they built one on Mars. I mean, it seems like it's a lot closer and more of a feat that can be accomplished. But sure, yeah, whatever. Elon Musk, you want to try colonizing the Mars? Yeah.
Good luck getting through the radiation belt, bro.
The Van Allen belts, right?
Yeah. Anyway,
I wonder how much CGI they're going to show us on that mission.
Well, hey, if they hire me, I could help them.
You're pretty good at that Photoshop, aren't you, Kay?
I could figure it out.
Yeah, it's just since Stanley Kubrick ain't around no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have to pull out the Spielberg for this one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you could do it.
What the hell? There's a T-Rex on Mars.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Whip out the Pixar.
And just to add to the feels, T-Rex bites the head off E.T. And then,
and then he can't follow
as he's riding the bike over the moon.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Something like that. Before we get into this, speaking of pop culture, you guys, I don't know if you guys saw I didn't see it, but I've heard about it, saw the previews, and a lot of people have been talking about it. But the whole, what is it, the Civil War, Captain America versus Iron Man?
I watched it.
Oh, did you?
That's not pop culture. That's nerd culture.
I watched it.
Shout out, Matt.
Iron Man and Captain America was all mad at each other, fighting each other.
A lot of
mutant Civil War with the United States.
A lot of open ideas being promoted as far as the old way that Captain America wanted to hold to, the individualist limited government mentality being circumvented by the iron fist of Iron Man.
The statist Iron Man who wants the Homeland Security, Patriot Act,
I was watching on one of those bootleg streams, so I don't know. I was like, it's kind of hard to keep my attention. I was like, I don't know,
Little grainy.
Yeah, it's a little grainy. Anytime you watch any movie or even a commercial, you see the propaganda and everything.
It's product placement.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
No, propaganda in itself is product placement.
They're
probing your mind.
Yeah,
and then Marvel and DC have always been. Comics have always been very politically charged. You can't help but write comics about the political times that you're in.
Yeah, just the current events going on. They kind of bleeds into that because it's the culture. But yeah, it's interesting how they're spitting out Marvel films left and right. Did Disney buy rights to them or something?
Right.
No, but I think Netflix did. So they're going to be the only people to watch Marvel from now on. So this Gustav de Molinari, definitely highly encourage you guys to check it out. It isn't long. There's an audiobook on YouTube about it. There's a PDF you can download for yourself. And it's really good stuff. The contents here, table of contents, start with the production of security, the natural order of society, competition security and exception, the alternatives, monopoly and communism, monopolization and collectivization of the security industry, government and society, the divine right of kings and majorities, the regime of terror, and the free market for security.
Now, obviously, it's endorsed by Rothbard because he did the preface.
Yes, he did. It's actually this guy was like the progenitor, the begetter of Rothbard.
That's what's up. Always go full Rothbard.
Yeah. So the production of security, there are two ways of considering society. According to some, the development of human associations is not subject to providential, unchangeable laws. Rather, these associations, having originally been organized in a purely artificial manner by primeval legislators, can later be modified or remade by other legislators in step with progress of social science. In this system, the government plays a preeminent role because it is upon it, the custodian of the principle of authority, that the daily task of modifying and remaking society devolves. Don't we see that constantly being promoted in our legislators?
The modifying, the de-evolving of society?
Yeah. According to others, on the contrary, society is a purely natural fact. Like the earth on which it stands, society moves in accordance with general pre-existent laws. In this system, there is no such thing, strictly speaking, as social science. There is only economic science, which studies the natural organism of society and shows how this organism functions. That one just like brought almost an
This is the Logos Radio Network.
And we are back live. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. And, you know, we've just really been getting into a little lesson of the day. Don't forget to go to logosradionetwork.com and check out the gun giveaway we got going on there. It's right at the top, right on the front of the page. Got till June 1st to get in on that.
No, yeah, you want to get a piece of that Spike Skull low receiver AR-15. And that second prize, Taurus Curve.
Yeah, built-in light, built-in laser on that pistol.
Oh, that thing looks sweet.
Sleek and sexy.
I was checking one out at a gun shop in town the other day. But I'm just going to wait to see if I can win it.
Yeah, right.
You check a lot of things out, Marshall.
Well, I mean, that's the market, man. You got to go out there and check out things in the market before you buy things.
Window shopping, baby.
Yeah. That's why I stay single, you know?
And don't forget our sponsors on the right side of the page at Logos Radio Network. And you can shop at Amazon, you know, by proxy, clear your cookies, and you will help support the network. As long as we also got the Global Healing Center and the Gold Savings Club. All the sponsors on the right side of the page. Non-GMO Solutions.
Use Logos promo code. Get 10% discount for that for non-GMO solutions. So definitely a lot of stuff to choose from.
Yeah, I got to order up on my silver. My colloidal silver.
Yeah, boy, get it at the Global Healing Center, I'm pretty sure. So, where are we at today, boys?
Well, we just started with the Molinari breakdown.
Started with the breakdown. We got caught up on that flag folding picture where they dumped it in the trash can. That was hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, if it's your flag, you bought it, right?
If it's your flag, you can do whatever you want to it.
It's your
like
property.
that pastor that wanted to burn all those Qurans.
Well, if he bought them, he could burn them.
Yeah.
As long as they're not somebody else's property, I mean, to each their own. Just hence, their own.
Private property rights, human rights. Come on, those are human rights, man.
All natural.
Yep. So you should probably read that statement you read right before the break.
Yeah, so he was comparing and contrasting here the one point of view that sees society as this social experiment artificially created by the legislator, which is constantly being remade and tweaked and fixed to their liking. And he compared it with the other point of view, which is contrary to it, that says that society is purely a natural fact. And like the earth on which it stands, society moves in accordance with general, pre-existing, I would even put eternal laws. In this system, there is no such thing, strictly speaking, as social science. There is only economic science.
Yeah, it's pretty much in the sense that look at yourself like a business and your peers as your customers. If your peers don't like you, they're going to do business with you.
Or associate with you.
Yeah, so you're probably going to change and learn how to mold and associate yourself in a different manner and become a better person or whatever to adhere to their expectations so you could draw them in.
It's a more natural state of being versus...
you don't necessarily have to force it.
This social experiments we're constantly going through every time we vote for a new authoritarian leader.
But all of those are like basically controlled experiments.
Yeah. Every time a new law or edict gets passed.
Exactly.
But what he's speaking of is a natural economic experience through a science through which things naturally come together for benefit and gain.
Think about what economics right at the beginning. It says eco. It's everything around you.
Yeah, true that. True that. So this is the study of the natural organism of society, and it shows how this organism functions. We all have time and energy to expend, and it starts with that and moves on to property without a doubt. So the purpose to examine within the latter system is the function and natural organization of government. This is what he's going to break down here. So what is the natural order of society? In order to define and delimit the function of government, it is first necessary to investigate the essence and object of society itself. What natural impulse do men obey when they combine into society? They are obeying the impulse, or, to speak more exactly, the instinct of sociability. The human race is essentially a sociable creature. Like beavers and the higher animal species in general, men have an instinctive inclination to live in society.
I object to your worst use of the word creature.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because it wasn't in there, and that would make humans a creature. And
we're not?
Depends on what definition of creature you're using.
All right, well, he said animal. But like beavers and higher animals, it's just, and this is really on point. I mean, when you consider the fact that, like you were saying, Marshall, that, even just friendship is fulfilling the need to have social interaction, with somebody. And even if you're not technically gaining as far as any kind of property or any kind of financial gain in having a friendship, the psychic emotional gains, the mental gains that you gain from such relations are in fact an economic transaction, in the sense that you've spent time and energy to receive this psychic profit.
Well, it's the brain energy, the points of views, the discussions that take place, the assistance, people helping one another. That's all the social contract into itself.
Yeah, exactly. And you could even take this a little bit further when you really start thinking about it. Is it really just a social thing? Do we need social interaction, or some would even debate that it's just strictly for survival, and that's the only reason we have a society is because we need to defend each other's property. We need to rely on other people's trades in order to survive and have a comfortable life. Therefore, we're all intertwined in it together. We're all dependent on each other, if you will. And I don't know if you guys saw that movie, Her.
I did. I think we watched it together.
Yeah, right. Where he formed this
invite me.
bond.
I see how it is.
That was a long time ago.
Where he formed this bond with the main character. Formed this bond with the AI operating system that he essentially fell in love with, and
it fell in love with everybody in the neighborhood. It was
on the cyberwebs.
That was crazy.
Maybe it's a good thing I didn't come over and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Was it like a Species-esque movie?
No, not really. But it just dove into the notion of does man need the social interaction of other human beings, or is artificial intelligence enough to satisfy our need to communicate?
Well, artificial intelligence is an artificial being, so you're still creating another being in which to interact with. So thus, you're still needing social interaction because you're creating something for which to interact with. So it's kind of moot, isn't it?
Well, not necessarily,
human,
because
it's not human, though.
Right, it's not human. And not only that, but I guess what I'm trying to pinpoint is if technology and the production of goods and services gets to the point where we essentially have robots here down in a couple of years.
You're talking automated Skynet,
automated everything. Providing for everything. Is autonomous computer programs, are they going to provide for friendship as well? And that's basically the thing it dove into, the concept it dove into. And it was just an interesting thing to reminisce over.
Well, yeah, I mean, imagine we had some technology where, like a 3D printer or something, and it just rearranges atoms, and all of a sudden you don't need, it could just make food or any object you want. And then there's no need for, will people still interact? Will people still need each other? Like, I mean, if everyone could be fully self-sufficient.
Right. Yeah, that's the notion I was exploring, and it's an interesting notion. And we really won't find out until we reach that frontier. But and I guess at that point we really will find out what friendship and family and
put it to the test.
Community really is all about. Yeah,
we'll just do it all virtually with one of those little headsets of virtual reality.
Yeah, that contact lens. Yeah. The brain chip.
Oh, was it Judge Dredd, right? How they had intimate relations through cyberspace.
There you go. Back to the her.
Yeah. We went kind of sci-fi on that segment there, but definitely going to get back to the natural order of society and this breakdown of why we join society, what society is all about. Definitely stay tuned.
We all know smoking is bad, but new evidence shows babies whose fathers smoked around the time of their conception have an increased risk of developing childhood cancer. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with details in a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Smoking kills. It's no secret, and we've all heard the health warnings. But did you know that tobacco could also kill your unborn child? Australian researchers found that although mothers smoking did not increase their children's risk of getting cancer, kids whose fathers smoked around the time of their conception were more likely to develop acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL, the most common form of childhood cancer. And the more dad smoked, the greater the risk. If dad smoked a pack a day, his baby was 44% more likely to be diagnosed with the disease. So papas, consider what you're doing to your unborn kid before you light up. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
We'll be kidding about chemtrails.
You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at logosradionetwork.com.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're live. We got a couple segments left in the show. Definitely feel free to call in 512-646-1984. And kind of went off on a cyber rabbit hole there last segment, but it's all fun and games. It's all intellectual.
We're reading some older material, and right now we're living in the future of that. So I mean, it's only
got to throw some context in there and keep things a little alive.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that, how would everything work with the free society? Failing to realize that we've got a lot of technology to do a lot of things now. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff is not far-fetched at all. I mean, we just need to use our resources.
Yeah. Not to mention, chronologically, you would need a free society in order to give birth to a slave society. It doesn't work the other way around. So,
yeah.
Need wealth before you can have taxes, so...
They kind of perfected it here, they just give us just enough freedom to produce for them.
Well, if we enslave ourselves, then no one else can enslave us.
That's why you got to free your mind.
Jump off a building. Yeah, so we were continuing on here. Natural order of society. Molinari is making the argument here that human beings are essentially sociable creatures, like the beavers.
Leave it to beavers.
Leave it to the beavers. And he goes on to say that why does this instinct come into being? Man experiences a multitude of needs on whose satisfaction his happiness depends, and whose non-satisfaction entails suffering. Alone and isolated, he can only provide an incomplete, insufficient manner for these incessant needs. The instinct of sociability brings him together with similar persons, and drives him into communication with them. Therefore, impelled by the self-interest of the individuals thus brought together, a certain division of labor is established, necessarily followed by exchanges. In brief, we see an organization emerge by means of which man can more completely satisfy his or her needs than he could living in isolation.
Very true. Very true.
It's like the evolution of a sustenance economy, where you're just barely working to live. Essentially, you're working all day in order to get enough food, to get enough energy to work all day, to get enough food, to get enough energy to work all day, right? And through the division of labor, through technology, we eventually evolved or transformed ourselves into a market society, into an economic society where people specialized in certain fields, and we all ended up winning. Totally winning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all the innovations that have come from it. I mean,
like Charlie Sheen winning, like
Tiger Blood.
Tiger Blood winning. Yeah, no, we ended up winning big time. And when you consider, imagine having to make your own shoes and build your own hut and hunt for your own food.
We had that tiger gutted and the blood all over our face until they figured out how to tax us and create fiat money and then tax it from us.
But yeah, I mean, we'd still be digging ditches with our bare hands or with shovels versus
digging with shovels
with a backhoe.
Sometimes, man, you need a shovel though.
Yeah, but that's if you're only trying to produce more gerbs. When one backhoe could do.
Sometimes those machines can't get in there, man.
Well, but that's the division of labor.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's certain specific situations that.
If it's up to the state, I mean, let's just get rid of all backhoes and all machinery, and let's just make everybody do everything completely manual, and we'll have like lots of jobs because
full employment, right?
Yeah, full employment.
It's not a blessing. It's not a blessing.
Definitely not. We're trying to actually get to a place where none of us have to work. Believe it or not. I mean, pretty close to it. I mean,
yeah, just keep it at maintenance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to get everybody else in on the student loan crisis debt bubble before they do that.
Yeah, steal our energy before we create our own.
Well, that's the dummies that will buy a bridge on the moon. I mean, you want to get yourself in debt for $120,000 for your lawyer degree.
And something you could do yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn all this stuff yourself. You don't have to pay someone to have you. It's crazy. Anyway.
So this natural organization, he goes on to say, this division of labor, if you will, this economic society is called society in itself. The object of society is therefore the most complete satisfaction of everyone's needs. The division of labor and exchange are the means by which this is accomplished. Among the needs of man, there is one particular type which plays an immense role in the history of humanity, namely the need for security. What is this need? It is in one's self-interest to procure security at the lowest price possible. Whether they live in isolation or in society, men are, above all, interested in preserving their existence and the fruits of their labor. If the sense of justice were universally prevalent on earth, if consequently each man confined himself to laboring and exchanging the fruits of his labor without wishing to take away by violence or fraud the fruits of other men's labor, if everyone had, in one word, an instinctive horror of any act of harmful to another person, it is certain that security would exist naturally on earth, and that no artificial institution would be necessary to establish it. Yeah, I mean, if we were all angels, right, there would be no need for security, and no doubt. And this is where people conflate our proposal for a stateless society by calling us utopians or
there was a time when
idealists.
most people wouldn't lock their front doors. There was a time when people were comfortable enough not to have to worry about things. Society did have manners at once.
Sure,
yeah,
but
sure.
it's
I mean,
not utopian to
certain
believe.
geographic locations during certain time periods may have been, more stable. But what were you saying there, Kid? I'm sorry.
It's more utopian to believe that, I mean, you're going to use the state to magically perfect everything.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, when we call for a stateless society, we're not calling for a society without security, right? Without the protection of people's lives and property. That's not what we're calling for at all. And this is something that Molinari here is starting to really delineate.
Yeah, because the individual has the right to his security, and he can also contract that security to where he can hire others to provide security, or groups within a certain area, secure one another through social contract. Say, hey, I'll look out for you. If I see when you're out of town, I see somebody at your house that shouldn't be there, that kind of thing.
People are very scared these days. They think, if someone can acquire the ability to defend themselves, that's also the ability to aggress.
Yeah.
When they fail to see that, it's almost like they don't want to defend themselves. They just want to.
They don't see that taking away the ability to defend yourself is guaranteeing the right to aggress.
Yeah.
For other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, without a doubt. So he goes on to say that unfortunately this is not the way things are. The sense of justice seems to be a prerequisite of only a few eminent and exceptional temperaments. Among the inferior races, or people in general, it exists only in a rudimentary state. Hence the innumerable criminal attempts ever since the beginning of the world, since the days of Cain and Abel, against the lives and property of individuals. And it wasn't the gun's fault.
It wasn't the inanimate objects?
I don't think so.
What? I could have sworn that's what's wrong with everything.
There may have been some bad juju on that object. And maybe it took, idle hand took it over or something. I don't know. But hence also the creation of establishments whose object is to guarantee to everyone the peaceful possession of his persons and his goods. These establishments were then called governments. And being a mentor of Bastiat, Gustav Molinari here is using a lot of the logic that Bastiat and a lot of the points that Bastiat came to the same conclusions, that essentially, government at first, even though we all know it was not the case, which you're going to get into, but at least the idea, right, the notion, the illusion, if you will, is that government is here to protect the person's goods and
security,
keep the peace. Yeah.
You ask anyone on the street, what's the main role of government, and they'll tell you to keep us safe.
Without a doubt, everyone's unanimous on that. But does it do its job?
No.
Could something else do that job better?
I guarantee.
We're going to keep analyzing this, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a little bit left on the show, so definitely stay tuned.
Easy.
And we're back live. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network, May 25th, 2016. Live here every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. And I do believe the phone lines are still open, 512-646-1984. I'm one of your hosts, Cuddy Rowe.
Rick Rohde. Here we got Marshall Soul walking in the studio.
Eating on some Funyuns.
Yum, yum.
Sorry, I missed lunch.
So we were just breaking down here Molinari's epic production of Security. And I say epic because, I mean, this guy was over 100 years, pre-existent. Came out with this article, with this pamphlet, 100 years before Rothbard ever coined the term anarcho-capitalism.
Whoa!
But regardless, I mean, he's promoting the exact philosophy here. So, really neat to see the early birthing of this ideology, of this. It's not even, I wouldn't go for it as far as to say that. It's just this observation of reality.
It really is. And to me, it's pretty sad for humanity that, man, it's taken this long. I mean, there might have been maybe previous text hundreds of thousands of years ago or something that got destroyed. But, man, it's pretty sad that this stuff's not older and hasn't been around longer, and more people aren't prevalent to the information. I mean, it's really...
Well, and you got to consider the printing press and the Renaissance and the sciences in general, the systematic study of different subjects.
They saw government as force, but they just saw it as a necessary force to an extent. They hadn't gone full Rothbard yet.
Or full Molinari yet, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. But, it's funny to see that, just a couple hundred years into the birth of economics as a science, and we already have economists basically writing the death note of the state. It didn't take that long when you compare the because we were pretty primitive prior to the printing press. I mean, it was the aristocracy that even knew how to read and write, and
they pretty much controlled what books went out. And
had to write them by hand. And can you imagine that, having to write the whole Bible out by hand or something?
Mostly done by monks, going through old books and translating them and writing them out.
Leaving important information, tidbits out of it, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, books in general were a lot more expensive back then because of the labor it took to create the product.
Right. Only rich people could read.
Hey, but the printing press killed a bunch of jobs.
Gerbs.
They created a bunch more jobs in the sense that it made people want to go out and produce news for which to print, or things to print upon that, whether it be books.
Give them information to use to create more jobs, shared information.
Yep. At a more reasonable price, more affordable price.
So people don't realize, I mean, today machines are taking the place of the cashiers.
What is it at Wendy's, right? Wendy's and McDonald's is talking about it.
So now
y'all still got to be there to make sure the machine works right. So I mean, there's still a job there.
Well, there's also new places to go to. I mean, now we have machines doing things that we don't have to do.
Therefore, we have people that can do things that before were left undone.
Exactly. So come on, let's innovate and let's grow and let's move forward instead of...
Let's be more productive, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's usually a good thing.
You're freeing up space so someone else can move on to something else.
Yeah. Yep. Being more productive means producing more, and producing more means we're all raising our standard of living. Hey, but Papi, Little Horn may not like that. That's bad for the environment.
And the queen too. You know, with the bazillion-dollar crown on her head, telling everybody, in Europe to,
too much carbon.
Yeah, live in their means.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no wonder why mainstream culture is so against the idea of capitalism, right? I mean, that doesn't take that big of a surprise to see that those ruling everything want to control everything, want to take everything, want to have everything for themselves, and don't like the idea of humanity as a whole being able to prosper.
I'm just surprised they haven't come out with like a straight primitivist movement.
Yeah, right.
Just all out, let's all go back to the woods and destroy all the technology, It's like, no, the socialists are still using their iPhones and their iPads and
they're driving their Teslas.
Yeah. Showing up at the rally in a BMW.
Yeah.
Oh.
The walking contradiction that is the socialist.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see here. He goes on to say that, Molinari goes on to say that everywhere, even among the least enlightened tribes, one encounters a government. So universal and urgent is the need for security provided by government. Everywhere, men resign themselves to the most extreme sacrifices rather than do without government, and hence security, without realizing that in so doing, they misjudge their alternatives. Suppose that a man found his person and his means of survival incessantly menaced. Wouldn't his first and constant preoccupation be to protect himself from the dangers that surround him?
No, government will do that for me.
Yeah, right. This preoccupation, these efforts, this labor, would necessarily absorb the greater portion of his time, as well as the most energetic and active faculties of his intelligence. In consequence, he could only devote insufficient and uncertain efforts in his divided attention to the satisfaction of his other needs. So basically, if you're having to protect your stuff and protect yourself 24/7, well, how much time are you going to have to work on the actual things that you're productive in?
I got a dog to protect my stuff.
So it's really in the state's best interest to keep us all scared, so that way we're worried about protection and safety versus going about our daily lives producing things without the state.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good conclusion there. Mm-hmm. A good observation. So even though this man might be asked to surrender a very considerable portion of his time and his labor to someone who takes it upon themselves to guarantee the peaceful possession of his person and goods, wouldn't it be to his advantage to conclude this bargain? Still, it would be obviously be no less in his self-interest to procure his security at the lowest price possible. So we have a conundrum here, right?
Because if you go too low, you might end up with a bad product.
Sure, but we all want to pay the lowest price. But how can you pay the lowest price if it's just one person or one entity that's procuring upon themselves, that's designating themselves as the sole arbiter? In other words, a monopoly. Well, that's probably not going to be at the lowest price possible.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be by the hands of a monopoly, right?
Yeah.
So hence his next section, competition and security. If there is one well-established truth in political economy, it is this: that in all cases, for all commodities that serve to provide for the tangible or intangible needs of the consumer, it is in the consumer's best interest that labor and trade remain free, because the freedom of labor and of trade have as their necessary and permanent result the maximum reduction of price. And this, that the interest of the consumer of any commodity whatsoever should always prevail over the interest of the producer. Now, in pursuing these principles, one arrives at this rigorous conclusion that the production of security should, in the interest of the consumers of this intangible commodity, remain subject to the law of free competition. Whence it follows that no government should have the right to prevent another government from going into competition with it, or to require consumers of security to come exclusively to it for its commodity. So as we were talking some economic points here last week, I know we brought up the idea of a monopoly and how a monopoly, if there was only one burger joint in all of the United States, we would probably make the bet and most likely win the bet that it would be a very expensive burger that they would sell there, and probably not the best burger that you can make for yourself or
it's like
someone else.
It's like a $10 Big Mac if you're lucky,
like a $50 junior burger. And it's cold and the bun's all wrinkled.
You got some mold.
Yeah, and you can't even really call that stuff in there meat. I mean, well, at least not beef. You can call it meat.
It's subsidized Soylent Green.
Get your regimen of Soylent Green.
So he's opening up the concept, the idea, the notion here that we should, hey, you know what? Since we've noticed that in economics that when you have competition of goods and services, you tend to have a good product at the least cost, thus all consumers benefit. Why don't we extend this into the realm of security? And that's what he's starting to kind of get into.
People get all scared. The workers are going to be exploited, but they fail to see that, you know, it's the poor who are going to have cheaper goods everywhere.
That the persons that are paying for the business to provide a service should do the right thing or the common thing and not do business with that business if they're going to be treating the workers as such, and thus the workers wouldn't want to work with them. So they really got to question their business ethics.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, that's the obvious. If workers are oppressed, well, then workers can go work somewhere else or start their own co-op or start their own business. But
unless you're Apple in China,
well, yeah, you're not really a worker. You're a slave at that point. Not by contract, not by agreement. So we're coming to the end of our show, unfortunately, and we had a couple pages here left on this section here on the competition and security, but we definitely encourage you guys to read it for yourselves. We're going to wrap it up next week with this Gustav Molinari.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
It sure is, isn't it? And definitely appreciate you guys coming along for this ride, this lovely May 25th. Definitely check out logosradionetwork.com. Still got the drawing going until the 1st of June, so definitely want to be a part of that.
Yeah, don't forget, it's the gun giveaway.
Help us out. We're almost there. We're almost at our marker, over 50%, so could use the help. And I got the crypto show coming up next, and we'll be back here next week, next Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m.
As always.
Peace.